Hello and welcome to the Evolution of the Fempreneur podcast, the go-to resource for women who want to grow a successful business. Our mission is to empower and support women on their entrepreneurial journeys by providing valuable insights, practical tips, and a supportive community of like-minded women. Each episode of the Evolution of the Fempreneur podcast features interviews with successful fempreneurs, business experts, and thought leaders, as well as a solo episode from our host. That's me, Wonderful Morrison, brand and marketing coach, business expert, and online business educator. If you're already on your entrepreneurial journey and seeking to take your business to the next level, the Evolution of the Fempreneur podcast has something for you. Join our community of empowered women and gain the knowledge, skills, and confidence you need to succeed in your entrepreneurial endeavors. Thank you for tuning in to the Evolution of the Fempreneur podcast. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Evolution of the Fempreneur. And today I have a very special guest. My beautiful friend, Venita, is a licensed professional mental health counselor and therapist, and hails from this beautiful area called Massachusetts. And what we're talking about, what the evolution of the Fempreneur is about, is helping women see how we have evolved into who we are today from our mothers, our grandmothers, our great grandmothers, how it's changed the landscape since COVID, who we are. And we are at this beautiful, ageless space in perennial generation of women between 40 and there's no end date. But basically, we're more vibrant today. We are so much more full of life, and we have so much more to give into the world and the impact. And Venita's got this beautiful story of how she became a mental health professional, which we might not get into. We're going to have to bring her back a second time. But we also want to stay on track with our series of the evolution of wealth. And what does wealth really look like for today's women? And what does it look like for today's fempreneur? Because entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart, but it also is asking us to step into places that we've never stepped into before. So I'm just going to have Venita introduce the many titles that she carries. Because although I say she's a mental health professional, she is so much more than that. So without further ado, welcome, Venita, my beautiful friend. Before you tell us your story, let's hear about the many titles you already carry now. Go ahead.
Gosh. Hi, wonderful. Oh my gosh. Yeah, well, I'm a licensed mental health counselor in Massachusetts and in Georgia. I'm a licensed drug and alcohol counselor here in Massachusetts. I'm, oh my gosh, I'm a Usui Reiki master. I was just hanging out with my Reiki master over the weekend. I do brain spotting, that's some of my modalities. I do EMDR. I'm an IFS, internal family systems therapist. Also, some of the modalities I love using is mind and body.
What?
I'm a coach for Power of Self. And I'm the CEO for Soulful Essentials, which is my mental health practice. And I also have a holistic business going on, Venita's Beauty Boutique. I have my CBD business, and my weight loss business. So yes, and I'm a mother of 2 daughters, a grandmother of 5, and I'm going to be a great grandmother.
Woo! And then there's other things that you do that I'm super interested in too. You also dabble in a little bit of Enneagram and a little bit of singing bowls and a little bit of positive intelligence. Like, this woman carries many hats, and you do it with such a beautiful smile always. So in terms of mental health professional, right? It's always kind of been in this one rigid space of clinics or clinicians. Tell us how you got involved in all these other areas, or why did you think that other modalities was helpful?
Yeah, that's a good question. I find that we've always known about talk therapy. You know, I might be dating myself, but the Bob Newhart show. I used to
Yeah.
remember people coming in and seeing Bob Newhart, and they're laying on the sofa, and he would be sitting behind him and wouldn't say a thing. And that's psychoanalysis, Sigmund Freud's theory of psychology. So, and then it became behavioral therapy, talk therapy, and then it's evolving now. People are saying, I want more. My body needs more. And so with the
Mm-hmm.
different modalities, we know that yeah, talk therapy is great, but the body also holds a lot of trauma too. And so
Yes.
Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, he's a psychiatrist here in Massachusetts, wrote the book called The Body Keeps the Score. And he
Oh
talked
gosh,
about
I know that book. Yes.
yeah, how trauma sits in the body. So as I've
Mm-hmm.
learned through the 10, 12 years that I've been doing mental health, that there's more components than just somebody talking. Because while they're talking, they might cry, their shoulders might get, tense, and their stomachs might start turning, and their, palms and their forehead start sweating. So all that is that the psychosomatic part of being, a little riled up. So we know that different modalities can help the body heal. And so that's why I went into internal family systems, because it talks about the parts of us and also releasing some of that tension through the body. Brain spotting, where you look affects how you feel. I love doing brain spotting because it does bring the stuff from the unconscious to the conscious, and the body can
Mm.
heal from all of that. And also EMDR, eye movement desensitization reprocessing, does the same thing. So I like all that. And also I like doing skincare, we feel the skin,
Mm-hmm.
feel the body. People want that. People want to feel touched, massage therapy, and
Right.
also Reiki, moving the chakras around our body so the energy can flow better and releasing the toxins that we hold in our bodies. So I think that it all plays together, mind, body, and soul.
Oh, that I think that's always been kind of the missing piece of why there's been such a huge talk about mental health since COVID, right? So you were doing this before COVID, and then how have you seen it shift before pre-COVID and then post-COVID? Do you see
Good,
it heavier? Is it a heavier space for people?
it's a good question. We found that even we were going into COVID, and the things that we couldn't do before, like all this Zoom and all these
Yeah.
now HIPAA compliant telehealth portals, we weren't allowed to utilize them. And then all of a sudden it started to be the talk. When I was in school in 2013, this was like the big, movement towards future products. And so now we're doing telehealth. Like everybody's doing telehealth. The
Mm.
dentists are doing telehealth. The medical doctors are doing telehealth. And so now the mental health field is doing telehealth. And I've been trained online with all of these modalities that I've learned: brain spotting, EMDR, IFS, things that we thought we could only be seen in person and do in person,
Hmm.
be trained in person, is now being trained on the telehealth portal, and people are still being serviced and helped. And I think that's important.
Wow, I mean, because it makes it a little bit more, it's easier to access, right?
Yes.
Accessibility is a huge, huge part of people who are struggling with mental health, not necessarily always want to see you in person anyways. So it's nice to have, I'm guessing, for you in this profession, that it's nice to have this hybrid program where, because COVID, we're now able to see each other, where you could see somebody in person, but you could also do telehealth in that way.
Yes.
What age group are you seeing more so that needs this support?
Oh,
Or is that
everyone.
even a thing?
Yeah, it is a thing. And I know school's out now, but I was getting some, referrals to see children, 10 years old, 11, 12 years old. That was a lot when COVID came. Everybody now is in the house. Life as you knew it was changed. And people
Mm-hmm.
don't go along well with change, especially young kids. They don't know. They're not, they didn't know
Right.
what's going on with COVID. So we saw a lot of increase with children needing to be seen based on anxiety, based on not being around their peers, and being in
Yeah.
a lot of stressors, anxiety. So we saw a lot of that increase with children during the COVID time. from like what 20 to 21 and to 21, 22. So that was a lot. I
Wow.
find that I'm getting a lot of people now that like in their 50s, going into their 50s, late
Yes.
50s. Life as they know to have changed, and they don't want to come out. They want to be able to see in telehealth. And then not even just that, they might be in another city. And so I don't have
Mhm.
to drive to the city that I want to see my
Right.
therapist in. I can go on and see them via telehealth. So it's very convenient. And I believe it's tapping into people that would not want to walk into a therapist's office, maybe for shame to
Right.
be seen. Now they're in the comfort of their own home, and they can
Yeah. I mean,
get
that's such a big thing culturally for me. It's been a really big deal to. So, I mean, I grew up in a family and in a culture where you just do not speak that. You don't say there's no problem. There's not a
exactly.
problem. Just
Black culture too.
sweep it under the rug, right? And then we saw it in a really big show called Sopranos, where that was not a thing, and that it was centered around the idea of the boss going to see a therapist, but nobody could know, right? Because there is a stigma to it that somehow you can't be a normal person out in the world if you're dealing with some mental health issues. And so I think the telehealth has really helped to shed that light of now it's okay. And
Yeah.
do you think that COVID, I meant maybe this is a better way to ask it. Did COVID highlight issues that we were not facing in such a way that, because I think depression is there's many grades to depression. I'm not a professional, so I'm just based on my experience that there's some that is deeper and some, but COVID really brought it to light because we're species that need to be with other people.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that and why you incorporated like Enneagram, like why Enneagram? Why bring
Mm.
that into the fold?
I was just thinking about all the different modalities that I do, and tell COVID did bring people into therapy. People that were not going to go to therapy, like you said, we're social butterflies, and so COVID shut everybody down. So a lot of people wanted to get their, get their soul in order, or express
Yeah.
themselves, and so there was a really big increase of people seeking therapy services. I added
Hmm.
different modalities because one shoe doesn't fit all, right? And so
Hmm.
I find that when I'm doing a treatment plan with someone, this treatment plan for anxiety might work for this person, but it might not work for this person based on
Mm,
gender, based on maybe even being in therapy before,
right.
being new to therapy. So I love to have different skills so I can introduce them to my clients, because that one shoe fits all. And so the more that I
Right.
can have for a client, the more I can see them grow and change and heal. And so that's why I add different things, like the
Right.
Enneagram.
Yes. And but why Enneagram? Because it kind of sounds like a personality test, right? Like there's a ton of them. There's a Mary Briggs, there's the
Right.
um what was it that it had a book with it that a lot of corporate America used, but why choose Enneagram in light of all the other ones?
Yeah, I like the Enneagram because when people come to me, they want to know who they are. Like, who am I?
Mm,
I
right.
don't know who I am, they say. I get that from a lot of the young girls, but I even get that from middle-aged people, because now that the kids are out of the home, they're in college, we have, empty nesters, things have changed. And now people are looking at like, what am I doing? Who am I right now? We get
Hmm.
lost. And so I believe that with the Enneagram, it allows us to really look at our soul, who we are innately. Who am I really? And
Mm,
what are these parts to me? And that's why I like internal family systems, IFS. Like, who are these parts to me? Because we have parts. There's parts. We have
yes.
parts that have anxiety. We have parts that are really loving. We have parts that may not be so loving. So there's different parts to us. And so we're able with these different modalities to be able to service people differently, but also help them understand who they are innately. Who are you as your soul came here?
Oh, that is so good. It really goes in line with the evolution of wealth, right? As a collective humanity, when we say the word wealth, it comes with like money or stuff but really I think human wealth, right? The accumulation of human wealth. I've been an entrepreneur my entire adult life. And one of the greatest aspects of my growth is knowing who I am in different as I grow, because the version of me at 24 is not the version of me at 35. The version of me at 49 was not the version of me at 39. But we don't know that because we're just living life every single day. So as you're becoming this person of incredible wealth, right, with all the different modalities and different ways, how are you helping the people that come to you see their own wealth? Like, is that something that is even a conversation, or we just like, where's the different? I guess I'm just so curious because it's not my industry. I'm so curious. How does it help people really understand their wealth to work with someone like you?
Yeah. When I created Power of Self, my
Mm-hmm.
separate business from the mental health, it's all about coaching a person from where they are so they can go into a different place. Okay, yeah, you have mental health, and we can talk about the things that plague you maybe when you were younger. But and after that, where do I go forward? Who am I as I move forward in the
Mm,
power of self? And so
yes.
when I thought about the Enneagram, it shows traits of our soul, who we really, really are. And if we can really mend the soul, get to the place of I am who I am based on these traits, I can move
Yeah.
forward with a better future, better
Right.
thinking, better behavior, better
Oh
doing.
my gosh. That's like a treasure chest of gold
It
when you
is.
think about it. Because do you feel like one of the biggest challenges that we have as humans as we evolve is that we're getting further away from ourselves?
Yes.
That's why. Oh
Yes.
gosh. So the
I,
disconnection, right?
yeah. I think that
Oh,
people want to connect with themselves, but they don't know how because there's so many factors in the world. Like you said before, culturally, we don't talk
mm-hmm,
about mental health in the Black culture either. I have a lot
mm-hmm,
of, at this time, I have a lot of young Black males coming to see me. They have
mm,
fear of what's going on in there for their future, fear of, their jobs, what they're trying to do with themselves. So they're starting to come in. And one gentleman said that he told his cousin about it. His cousin is going to therapy now. And he said he's
wow.
been talking about it. He's been with me for now like almost 9 months. And so he says, I feel better. I feel much better to be able to think differently, to understand that maybe it's
Mm,
not all my fault. Maybe the
right,
environmental factors have come into play. Your mom, your dad, your friends, how you
right,
perceive yourself based on what other people said about you.
right. Wow.
And like you
That's
said too,
eye-opening.
it is wonderful because you said the same thing. Who I was at 12 is not who I was at 18,
Right. Oh gosh.
right?
It's easy to see it when because even your body changes, but it's not so
Absolutely.
easy from like 25 to 40 because
Correct.
you kind of get in the routine of doing the same thing over and over and over again. And then it just becomes part of your life, right?
Correct.
And then I'm at that point in my life right now where the youngest child in our house is leaving for college. It's not quite as difficult as the oldest one when she
Yes.
left, but it's really making me think of a shift of like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with myself now?
That's right.
And had I not already been seeking some professional help during this process, I wouldn't even be here. I wouldn't even be talking to you right now because I'd be sad. I'd just be sad because my life has changed so much.
That's right.
I've been a mom since I was 21 years old. And now I mean, I'm still a mom. I'm not saying I'm not a mom, but I'm a different kind of mom now,
Yeah.
right? The needs are different.
That's right.
And maybe that's why. So do you have a time frame that people should see you, or is there even a time frame for any of us? Or is it
No,
how
there
do you
isn't.
believe in that?
Yeah, no, there isn't a time frame. I always say, I said to a client, there's no rush to wellness.
Oh, oh,
There's no
that's
rush to
good.
wellness. I'm gonna have to put that on a shirt here. There's
Yeah.
no rush. rush to wellness.
Yes.
Because
I'm
I
writing
feel,
it down.
yeah, because I feel that, when people come into to therapy, they come in thinking, oh, I'm here for this. I'm here for,
Mm-hmm.
anxiety. But when it really comes down to, there might have been some, sexual abuse. There might have been some neglect. When parents divorce,
Oh,
the
yeah.
family unit changes. Dad doesn't come over anymore. So all these different things come into play based on the symptom. But let's really talk about the story. The symptom is just the symptom. What is
Mm.
the story that has that symptom so exacerbated? And so that's what I like to, when I work with my clients, like, I want to know who you are. I do genograms. We talk about the stages of change, because there are stages to change. A lot of people don't know that,
Yeah.
but there's stages to grieving,
Right.
the difference between grieving and mourning. But until you come into therapy and work with a clinician that knows these different types of cycles and changes, you're going to be stuck. And that's why it's important to come in for mental health, because we want you to heal. People want to heal. They don't want to stay in depression. They
Yes.
don't want to stay sad. They don't want to stay sick.
Right.
And so all those modalities that I use, they're all a buildup to get to a place where the client feels comfortable, where they can utilize the things that they've learned in therapy to help them be a
Mm-hmm.
better person within themselves. And that's the power of self.
Oh, I mean, do we need to say anything after that? Because that was so powerful and so passionately well said about how we evolve as humans today. And especially women like who have tasted many different versions of our successes, right? We're at this beautiful age of vibrancy where we're not done with life. We're not retired. I don't even want to use the word retired because that's just not even fun. I just want to vacation more, right? I just
Right.
want to relax more. It's not about retirement because I think we have so much more to give into the world. And the power of self, like just that title just feels good to say, the power of myself. I get to stand strong in who I am, and I don't have to apologize or get permission or be validated. I am powerful in myself just as I am.
Absolutely.
And that's what you bring to the table. And really, that's why we've connected so strongly, is because, first of all, we're Enneagram 8.
Yeah. Yes, we are.
That means we have a lot of pots going.
Yes. Yes.
And each
Yes.
one is exciting and fun and full of um, the gift into the
Yes.
world. And I think that's what you have brought to my life is you have allowed me to understand my gifts and give it fully without any hindrance.
Right.
Because I think we also have to bring into light that being a woman of color is a different space, right? And it's a different way of perceiving the world. And I think when we welcome all those pieces into who we are, and then we're doing it all at once, right? We then get to places that give permission to other women,
Correct. Absolutely. I'm glad you
right?
said that. I talked to a client about that this week. You can give yourself permission. And she looked
Yes.
at me like, I can give myself permission? Yes, you can give yourself permission to say it's okay that I made a
Mm-hmm.
mistake and I've learned from my mistake and I'll heal from that. I can say that. I can say I give myself permission to forgive myself. The
Thank
Bible says,
you.
forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Well, that's all mankind. We're down here thinking we know everything. We know nothing. And so
Right.
those days to say I don't know anything and learn so I can heal from whatever the conflict may have been and I can move forward.
Yes. Because do you believe, and okay, so let's ask this big question. Why do you think we need to heal anyways?
Oh gosh. Well, we know that, yeah, no. Sigmund Freud says we're all messed up people based on childhood experiences, right? Because the first, as I say to my clients, oh, I love this conversation. The first persons that we dealt with in society are the family unit.
Mm-hmm.
Is the mom, the dad, the sisters, the brothers, the aunts and the uncles, the grandma and the grandpas, if they were all
Mm-hmm.
intact, and maybe a dog and
Mm-hmm.
a cat, right? That's the
Right.
first environment. But even within them, the people that are in there, they may have be, afflicted or inflicted with some mental health or some substance. So now we're
Mm.
watching the behaviors of people. Now my mind starts to think about, or I have a belief system that's being created within the home. When I step
Mm.
outside the home, I find out, wait a minute, everybody doesn't do all this like they do in my home. Now I have a different
Mm.
mindset, and I can take some of that stuff that I've seen and use it for me. But what I say to that is the environment, our first environment is the family, is the unit. And so when we
Mm-hmm.
see that there's some scarring that have happened inside the
Mm-hmm.
family unit, we need to take a place to forgive ourselves, because we may
Mm-hmm.
be, utilizing some of that behavior too, and maybe not knowing it's wrong. But now when you find out it is wrong, it's okay to change, say, I forgive myself for not
Right.
knowing, and now I know, and so I'm going to do better or do different.
Wow, right. And in turn, really we become better people for our current families, our
That's
current
right.
communities, our
Absolutely.
professions,
Yes.
right? Like that really, because I think, one of the I'm a Gen X, and I feel like part of our upbringing was um, powerful in ways where there was not as much discrimination in terms of gender, age, color,
Right.
none of that. We were all just trying to not be assholes, right?
Mhm.
But it also hindered us because we were kind of set in place of, well, this is just who we are. This is just
Right.
who our family is. And then we want to be the gift to the world. And then it's a struggle to come out and say, hello, world, here I am, because we're believing this is just who we are. This is how we are. This is what we
Absolutely.
came into. So I love the idea that you say of how you break it down even further into the nucleus of our families and how that is affecting our behavior today and affecting all the things that we want to be out into the world. And so many of us women in this age group and in this desire to want to give into the world are plagued with, but what if?
That's
What
right.
if they don't like us? What if, we're not smart enough? What if we're not good enough? Which is like exhausting.
Yes.
So
Well,
then
if you
comes to
hear that on a
you.
daily basis at home, I mean, what is the
Mhm.
nurturing of people's homes? Like, I don't know. I know back in the day when I was younger, we used to say, don't talk about what's going on in this house. You keep what's
Right.
going
Oh
on in,
gosh.
what goes on in here stays in here. But that wasn't
Yes.
always a good way, because we know there was a lot of abuse and domestic violence going on in the house, and,
Hmm.
children and were witnessing this. And now you have
Hmm.
children that are angry, that go into school fighting other people because they're
Hmm.
angry, because they used to watch, mom get beat up, or dad get beat up, because we know that that's happens too.
Right. Right.
You know,
Yes.
so yes, so we have to get a place. We have to heal. We have to heal
Mhm.
from where we came in order to be going better into the future. We have to heal.
Oh, I I love it. Sounds contradictory, right? When you say, okay, no rush to wellness, but we have to heal. Now, those are
Correct.
two different conversations, right?
Yes, there
Healing
is.
and wellness is not the same thing. One's a journey and one's a destination,
Can be.
right?
Depends on how you're
Yeah.
looking at it, and how are you looking at you.
Mm.
I always talk to people, there's a few printouts that I use. And one of them is the 15 common defense mechanisms. And it talks about some of the defense mechanisms that we all use: denial,
Oh, yeah.
acting out,
Hmm.
projection, right?
Mm.
Compartmentalization, intellectualization. These are all defense mechanisms. They're defending my soul so my soul doesn't get hurt. They're defending the
Oh,
ego so the ego doesn't get hurt. But we can
right.
tell how people act based on their behavior that they're not well, because of the defense
Mm.
mechanisms. So we can arrest the defense mechanisms and allow them to stand back. The person can come into full leadership with self, with their self and their soul, and they can be
Mm.
better and breathe, because these other things are not being the leader, such as anxiety, depression, substance abuse issues, shopping, eating, whatever the addiction can be,
Gambling.
gambling,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Being a people pleaser.
Oh, that's yeah. That I feel like my whole entire country is plagued with that.
Being codependent.
Oh gosh. Yeah. And I think those are things that, there's this other big word that's kind of attached to those, why we wouldn't speak. For me, I again, culturally, right? I feel like I miss my parents. My mom and dad are no longer here, but it's also what helped me move forward in healing, because then I didn't have them saying, hey, you don't talk about that kind of stuff to strangers. You don't
Right.
tell people. And, even if it was a professional. So it's a space of accepting, I guess, acceptance, right? That space of like, I can't do this on my own.
Correct.
I need somebody else to do it. But the other thing is too, it was hard. I need to connect to people, a professional that I don't have to explain certain family dynamics to, right? Which was not as easy. I'm just putting that out there. Like, I don't have to explain to Venita what type of family dynamic I come from, because it's a dynamic you're familiar with also,
Correct.
right? Which isn't always easy. So I encourage, when women come to me and they want to start their business, but they may be, of Asian descent, or, of the Black culture, and they're kind of, I don't know if this is what I want to do. I encourage it, because we need to find each other.
Yes.
There is enough room for everyone to exist.
Yes.
So as we're coming to an end, was this something you always wanted to do? Were you like 10 years old, Venita, going, I'm going to be a mental health professional someday?
Yeah. No, I'll tell you the story quickly before we go. I was working for a state agency and in the trial court, and I was working with a lady who was a clinician, and she worked in a different department. And she said, Vanita, you should be in school to be a clinician. And I think I was in school, I was just wrapping up my bachelor's in criminal justice. And because I work for the courts, I was like, oh, I'll deal with that. I can, but I didn't want to get my master's as criminal justice. I didn't. So I wanted to go and get another master's. So my friend Felicity was saying to me, you should go and become a clinician. And I was looking at them and I was like, well, what do you guys do? It's a we do mental health. And I was like, oh, I don't, I didn't know this world. I didn't. I worked in the system where it was, we punishable by law. You go to jail.
Yeah.
I didn't know about the healing arts.
Yes.
And so I ended up getting my master's in 2005 from Cambridge College in Massachusetts as in management. I have a master's in management, concentration in nonprofit. 7 years later, 7 years later, I ended up going back to Cambridge College and getting this master of education, concentration in mental health. And now I'm a clinician. So I had to go back to Felicity after leaving the trial court and say, I'm now a clinician. And she said to me, that's where you were supposed to be. So somebody else saw something in me that I didn't even see.
Wow.
And then when I went into my dark depression sucked, I know what it looked like. I knew what I could do to help someone, because I've been there. Been there. I was inpatient. My depression was so bad one time that I had to go and get myself together. So I know when my clients come to me, like I'm not just sitting here with book knowledge, baby. I've been there too. So I know what it feels like to be in that dark place. So that's how I ended up in this field. And then I created Soulful Essentials because I was meeting a lot of people. It was soul healing. I met a lot of wonderful people. I started to learn about the healing arts, the expressive arts therapy, and the different modalities. And it's just a big world. It's a beautiful world. So I decided to embark and open up my practice.
Wow. And one of the things that you said to me one time that I thought I would have never, I didn't think about it, but you said that a client that came in is an Asian woman that came from sort of a struggling experience to get to the US. She did, you know, it was like, I think, a refugee type of situation. And then she's really built herself up, but so much of that scarred her. And that, when you said that, what caught me was her experience of how she got here and who the culture she comes from, and then to dive in to want to work with you is not very common.
No,
in that kind of journey.
Yes.
So, you know, I think so many of us who want to go into getting support and professional help is like, we live in a normal kind of world, right? The experiences is sort of this normal way we got here. But no, there's so many different dynamics, but also there's so much of that dynamic that it's not okay to see a professional in that mental health space. It's not okay. It's not okay you got to suck that up and deal with it.
Yes. It's difficult. It's difficult if you're the first to do something. You know, I'm the first business owner. Nobody owned it. I heard the naysayers. My sisters, my family. Oh, well, be careful to open up a business because, people lose and you can lose. And, I don't know. My business is 12 years old. I haven't lost. I've gained. I've gained a lot of wonderful people. I've gained a lot of good clients to be able to help. So I haven't lost. And that's wealth. That's wealth in itself, to say that I'm able, even though I had a depressive state in my history, in my life history, that I was able to overcome it and now help other people when they're in their place of darkness, overcome their point. Because we're not perfect people. This is a machine. This is a machine. And the machine can, we all know what happens to cars. They're beautiful when you drive off the lot. And then within 6 months, say a year or two, starts to go wrong. Gotta get fixed. And so we're the same. We start breaking down. And so what do we need to do to fix us? We go into counsel.
Right. Wow. I mean, I could talk to you for thousands of hours. Every time we talk, Venita, we end up talking for hours because you are such a wealth of knowledge. And the one other thing you didn't mention, right? You have 2 masters, but you're also getting into a PhD right now, are you not?
I am. I'm trekking along. Anybody who knows about PhD programs, I'm going to try to wrap it up before it expires. But yes, I am getting my PhD in integrative medicine from Quantum University.
And then on top of that, the other big news is that you have been nominated to be president of the Massachusetts Mental Health Association. So it's just, I think that's another thing I wanted to highlight with you is it's never too late. There's not an age cutoff for anything like that. But also you're also taking care of one of your 5 grandchildren full time. So you are a caretaker and your grandson, he's not a baby, he's a teenager. Well, no, he's a preteen. Yeah, that's right. Right. And then you're running 8 businesses and you're getting your PhD. Ladies, if this is you, don't let all the other things stop you, because it hasn't stopped Venita yet. And she was dedicated to my 3-month class where she came every single week for 3 straight months to really build her business out. I admire and I'm inspired by women like you who step up to the plate because you've got so much bigger things to do, not for you, but for us.
Correct.
For us. You gave me permission to be in all the pots that I'm in instead of punishing myself like, oh, why can't I just work on one piece of the pie? Why do I got to work on all of them? And then I met you and I'm like, oh no, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay.
My poor friend Bridget, I drag her everywhere. We were talking about that, all that we do. But I tell you, all that we have done, it adds the value to what I'm trying to do with servicing my clients. Like, yes, I do Reiki. Like, yes, I do sound bowl healing. All of these things, they play into wellness. It plays into healing the body. The body keeps the score. When people are angry and sad, what do? We put on some happy music.
Right. Yes.
That's expressive arts therapy right there. Listening to some good music, calming yourself down, bringing all that anxiety or that madness that was up here all down, letting the body relax. It all plays together. So it's important to have all these different modalities, because again, one shoe doesn't fit all. And whatever my client brings to me, I want to be able to help them out of it with the modalities that I have.
Oh, well, I just want to thank you for your time and your energy. And the last question I want to ask is, if there's somebody out there that's like, oh, everything she's saying, I want to do it. What is a first step that someone can take that wants to move into healing and wellness, but may be afraid? What's your advice for them?
My advice is to put themselves first. Put yourself first. Reach out to a therapist. There's psychology today. If they have insurance, there's a customer service number that they can call to speak to a representative to get a therapist in their area, right? They can talk to their doctor and get some referrals going. So the first thing is taking care of self, saying that, yeah, I'm not perfect. I have some stuff going on. I need some help. I need to reason this out and find a therapist that can help you do that. That's the first thing, is to recognize and say, I need help. Or not even how about me, but how about my parts? I have an anxious part that says I need to talk to someone, because there's parts to it that needs to be able to be heard. Yeah. And give yourself permission to do that. It's okay. Be the first to do that. You. And then other people, like my client earlier said, I told my cousin, now he's in therapy.
Right. I think you need to put that on the shirt. Be the first.
Be the first.
I'm in.
And then everybody else will follow you.
The first. Yes. I love that, because I think that it really speaks to us Enneagram 8s who are be the first in a lot of things.
Right. And I'm an Aries too, so that doesn't help either. So, I got the double whammy. Type A, Aries,
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for this time. Thank you for encouraging us and inspiring us and motivating us to be women who step into the power of ourselves.
That's
right. That is your encouragement. That's your message to the world, is we as women, no matter what age we are, need to step into ourselves, the power of who we are. That is where all good things happen. That's where the beginning of all amazing things. Thank you. And I appreciate you so much. You are such a blessing to me and to all the people who are listening. And to the future, to our future. And I know we're going to have you back again, because then you're going to give us more info. I feel like we could just, anyways. All right. I'm gonna just give everybody the opportunity to reach out to you. We're going to put all your information with this, so that they can reach out and be the first.
Be the first.
All right.